life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. When you've got worries, all the noise and the hurry seems to help, I know. Downtown, just listen to the music of the traffic in the city. Linger on the sidewalk where the neon signs are pretty. How can you lose? The lights are much brighter there. You can't forget all your troubles, forget all your cares. So go downtown. Things will be great when you're downtown. No finer place for sure. Downtown.
Hello friends and YouTubers alike, and welcome to the final episode of Talking to the Camera, boy! Now for this last episode, we really gonna keep things...
Well, that's it for talking to the camera. Best to go out on a good note, I guess. What the...
David?
Yo, I've been trying to reach you. Where have you been?
Now's really not a good time.
I got nothing else to do. Now is the perfect time.
Okay, perhaps the question you shouldn't be asking is where I've been? But instead, the question you should be asking is when I've been.
So, you wanna play some Gears?
Maybe later. Hello, friends and YouTubers alike, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Talking to the Camera. You know what? Let's just get right into this.
Viewer response.
So if you have a little extra time, just jot down below in the comments section where you're from and what kind of things you're interested in. I was amazed at the response I got from you guys. Just look at all these letters. This one comes from Kathy Vicky. I'm from the Bay Area in California. This one comes from Minla. Well, I'm from Lisbon, Portugal. This one's from Secret. Hey, wait a minute. Secret. Honestly, it was ziplocked and everything. Well, the reason I want to hear from all of you is just because I'm curious to know who's getting the jabber. And by looking at the stats, a lot of you reside in the States. Not a lot of Canadians, which brings me to wonder. It could be because of A,
Get it?
they already know everything that goes on in this country and so they don't need to hear me say it. Or B, Canada hates anime. That's right, I said it. It was actually really neat to hear what everyone thinks of where they come from. Be it yay.
I'm from Texas, which means anime conventions galore. Yay.
Or nay.
Mexico, good old up. Mexico. Patriotism's a beautiful thing.
And then there was some people who just couldn't seem to agree with each other.
I'm from Florida. I'm quite fond of it, really, especially since I'm a mere 13 minutes away from Disney World while I'm at school, and only 5 minutes away from a beach when I'm home. Life is good.
Versus.
I'm from the stupid state of Florida.
Now I'm not even sure what to think of Florida. What's it going to be, guys? Awesome or nossome? Your response is also made for great demographic research, so I can now cater my show to a specific audience.
I have to confess, you don't talk about much that interests me.
Moving on.
I enjoy TttC because you mention anime, manga, sci-fi, all that good stuff.
Manga, anime, okay, we have those things.
I enjoy reading mostly interesting movies and comics, some anime, Kevin Smith, Neil Gaiman, rice and green tea.
And a lot of you expressed a keen interest in Doom, which I'm not sure I can actually provide.
Toenail clipper of doom, that's the best I can do.
Now, a bunch of you mentioned that you're actually going to come and visit Toronto at some point. Well, if you are going to do so, here's some quick
travel tips.
It's pronounced Toronto. Toronto. I know many of you may have watched those Simpson episodes where Bart actually says Toronto. But this is a big hustle and bustle busy city. We don't have time for enunciation. Quick, concise, to the point. Toronto. Waiting staff at restaurants get paid next to nothing here. That's because tipping is not a gratuity, it's an expectation. Now just be safe, add up the taxes that show up on your receipt, GST, PST, food, drink taxes, or the rule of thumb is 15% of the total, and add that to your final number after tax. Because the sucky part is, if the waiters don't bring in a tip, they have to pay the kitchen staff out of their own pockets. I kind of left that segment on a down note. But that's alright, because now it's time for
Quick 5 So Best List.
Many of you might be a little too young to remember Pee-wee Herman, but if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check out Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's one of the strangest, funniest movies I've seen in a long time, and it's one of Tim Burton's early works. All this adds up to make it so best.
4.
I just picked up Street Fighter 4, and that's not the so best part. What is? If you open it up, the first thing you'll see beside the disc, sign up today for the Capcom Unity Visa card. Just think of the potential.
And how will you be paying tonight, monsieur? Cash? Credit?
Hadouken! 3.
Capsule machines at Pacific Mall are so best. I mean, just look at this guy. What's he thinking?
2.
Rumiko Takahashi in general. This isn't the comics you should read section, but honestly, if you haven't checked out any of these other titles, aside from Inuyasha, Ranma 1/2, Lum, Maison Ikkoku, 1 Pound Gospel, Mermaid Saga, you are really missing out.
1.
Reigning in once again at number 1 is, you guessed it, Boca. I just found out recently that the convenience store down the street sells these. Unfortunately, they're a bit smaller compared to the other one, 240 milliliters versus 300, but now that I'm addicted to it, it's so best. And he would find her, alive. He knew it. What could be better than finishing a good book? Finishing a whole manga series, that's what.
Comics you should read.
Now, I recently finished reading ES and Blood Plus. ES is about a dude who can read minds and alter people's memories to fit himself into their lives. Blood Plus is about a high school girl who's actually a vampire thingy and has to leave her old school life behind and slay a bunch of other vampire thingies. And interestingly enough, both main characters have to fight their clone twin thing. Now, as much as I enjoyed reading through both the series, it didn't really bring anything new to the table, nothing thought-provoking. So at best, they're a series you can pass the time with just fine. With that in mind, I rate them both 17.5 out of 29 Cornish pasties.
How's that for arbitrary numeric review scores, IGN?
So instead, here's 3 series which I think will thought-provoke. Real by Takahiko Inoue. No, not the sequel to Fake. Real is part sports manga, part heart-wrenching drama, centered around wheelchair basketball. Essentially 3 individual stories of loss all intertwined by basketball and the determination to surpass one's own limits, where the characters must learn to accept things for how they've turned out and begin to move on. Amazing artwork, character design, and sports action, a definite must-read. Gantz takes advantage of the same morbid curiosity we have for such death game series as Battle Royale, and cranks it up with power suits, super weapons, and the most bizarre, merciless enemies you'll ever come by. Old friends Chrono and Kato run into each other one day, and also get ran into by a train. But instead of death, they find themselves in the company of Gantz, a black orb in a locked-down apartment room. Gantz assigns them, as well as other random strangers, missions to capture or defeat aliens. Oh, and if they don't complete their mission on time or try to leave the battle area, let's just say they shouldn't tempt either. Mature content with hyper-gore, nudity, and, well, stuff just gets weird down the road. After finishing its run on Monster, the Viz Signature series has finally got to releasing the master work from Naoki Urasawa, 20th Century Boys. Periodically jumping from past, present, and future, 20th Century Boys chronicles the growth of a strange cult centered around a mysterious individual only known as Friend. As you read on, you'll discover how this cult is connected to the childhood antics of a bunch of everyday neighborhood kids, who, now grown up, are forced to face their childhood pasts and become the heroes of the world they dreamed of being.
Upcoming events.
The Penny Arcade Expo, or PAX, pre-registration has begun. So if you live in Washington State or are up for the trip to go to Seattle this summer, it's honestly the funnest convention expo thingy I've ever been to, aside from Anime North. You want to know what you're getting into if you go to PAX? Just go over to the Shaggy Travel Show section on my YouTube page and you can check out the PAX videos I made. They only go up to the end of the first day. I haven't really had time to cut up the rest of the footage I got. Oh, and I have yet to re-upload the very first travel episode, which is still lacking the I Believe I Can Fly song.
Google.
And this is where you, the viewers, come in. For whatever reason, I'm still bent on having that song appear because, whatever reason. If any of you had the ability to record yourselves and have nothing better to do for 40 seconds, send me a clip of you singing the main chorus from R. Kelly's I Believe I Can Fly. No music, just the vocals. After a week or so, I'll take everyone's recordings, compile it all together to a big feel-good telethon kind of sing-song, and it may just be so best. So whichever's easier for you, video response or an MP3 wave, AIFF, some sort of audio file to this Gmail account, talking2dcamera@gmail.com. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Talking to the Camera.